Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed that last exciting match from Violet and Sake. Right now though, we have another match coming up on the stage and you're going to get to see your first Terran of the day. So please help me welcome to the stage from Western Wolves, Sting! Sting, you were picked up by Western Wolves 1 week before IEM Singapore, and then you dominated. You came in first place at IEM Singapore. Do you think this tournament will be your first breakout performance in Heart of the Swarm?
웨스턴 울프에서 이제 들어가게 된 다음에 IEM 싱가포르를 이겼는데 그런 똑같은 성과를 이번에도 군심에서도 할 수 있을지.
일단 그냥 조별 리그를 일단 올라가면은 그래도 좀 좋은 성과를 보여줄 수 있을 것 같아서 일단 조별 리그가 제일 큰 문제인 것 같아요 지금.
He thinks if he can win the group stage, he can really get a good place like 1, 2, or 3, third place in this tournament. So he just focus now on the group stage.
Very smart, just focus. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to our translator, Inu. Now his opponent, oh, whoa, Sting, come back. I need you, bro, because you have an opponent to face. Please help me welcome back to the stage, Snute. Snute, you're about to face your first Terran of the event. How do you feel? Confident?
I played against him in some online tournament a while ago, and I lost 2-0. So I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to do my best, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to defeat him this time.
Fingers crossed. Gentlemen, please shake hands. Thank you so much. 감사합니다. And I'm going to hand it back over to the analysts.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, where we have a TVZ coming up. There's a Terran, man. A Terran's playing.
So I said I was excited for Zoc versus Violet. I'm really excited for Sting.
But here's what was interesting coming out of that interview. Actually, you guys heard that both players were basically not in the most confident mood, were they? They were both talking down their chances.
Yeah, they're both not in the greatest of positions right now. Sting is 0-2.
Yep, they're both 0-2 at the moment in their group.
Snute is 0-2. Yep. That's not a good place to be going into your third set, particularly when you're going against a player of this caliber. Both of them are, they're both very strong players.
I feel, though, that Snute maybe was being, I want to say, a little bit more negative in the sense that he was quoting their past results in online cups, where at least Sting was sort of like, well, I'm down 0-2, I'm just going to focus on getting the wins out so that I can at least progress from the group, never mind what place I come in. And I kind of like that sort of attitude. Do you think that will help him, Harston, gain some sort of foothold over Snute here?
Well, I don't think the pre-game interviews really help anyone get confidence, but yeah, I think Sting is in a bit of a better mindset at the moment, if that's what you mean.
Oh my God, he is ageless.
I knew it. That explains everything. Sting doesn't have an age.
Oh, thanks for explaining that.
Yeah. The top-notch analysis. By ageless, he doesn't have an age. And there's Snute. Snute's actually looking visible. Like, we saw how chilled out he was looking earlier. He really does look very different now. He looks visibly quite nervous.
Yeah, he's worried. Basically, if he loses this set, he's done.
Yeah.
There's a very low chance of you progressing out of your group with a 2-3 score.
And if he wins, it's still going to be a really tough road ahead.
Yeah,
so
there's no guarantee, even if he wins this set, that he'll make it out.
Yeah, he needs to knuckle down now and really focus, and that's exactly what he has to do in about the next 20 seconds, because we're going to be getting into this game, guys, as we throw it over to our commentators, Stockbroker and Stockbroker.
All right, guys, we're ready for this next game. Both players fighting for their tournament life. 0-2, 0-2. One has the option to progress further. One will go home. We're about to find out which one it's going to be, guys. Let's load in to the next map. It is going to be Cloud Kingdom, a map that you all know ever so well. All right, so in here, to the bottom left, we do have Liquid's Snute.
also known as Snute Skywalker. He does not have his sweater here, special sweater, but he replaced it with a liquid jersey, which might give him even more strength in the end. And his opponent is going to be playing for Team Western Wolves, playing as the blue Terran, Sting, the ageless Terran, always playing really well. You know, Sting, back when I lived in Korea, I used to meet him a lot in ladder or play with him pretty often, and I had a really hard time. I don't think I've ever beat him, actually. And I already knew that he was really good. And when he started traveling to those tournaments and playing really well, I wasn't surprised. A lot of people were shocked. They didn't see it coming. They did not know him, but I always knew.
He's really good. I mean, not only you, I mean, there's been a couple of other people that have been like, you know, he's under the radar, but he's a talented player. And so what I've seen from him so far in this tournament, loves to open Reapers early on. This game, though, is looking like a simple 2 barracks here on the natural. But both of these players en route to the Inter-Extreme Masters World Championship have both won titles to qualify. Sting, of course, won the Singapore tournament, the Inter-Extreme Masters Singapore. Snute won Home Story Cup 6, both with victories in Wings of Liberty, both fresh into Heart of the Swarm, and unfortunately both 0-2 in the group stage at the moment.
And you know, Sting strikes me as one of those Terrans who likes to take a gas early on and play very often with some quick factories, some quick starport, put some pressure with benches. But in this game, he chose to open with 2 barracks, and I don't think he will be committing to this. What do you think exactly his plan is? Just get a couple of Marines out, maybe spot that overload with one of the extra barracks?
I think that he's just going to put pressure on, and then he will expand from 2 barracks. I don't think he's going to pull too many SCVs. Maybe 2 to 3 SCVs that will come with this, with the initial wave. And from there, you know, just fall back. Because the thing is, Korean Terrans, they don't mess up when it comes to micro. They don't slip up. They don't make mistakes. 3 SCVs, all the ones that are coming down.
And you know, I like this reaction out of Snute. He saw the 2 barracks, and the overlord was like, I'm out of here. And then he went to the right-hand side immediately to get in a position where Marines could not kill it.
Look at this. The SCVs just immediately go back.
Yeah, I think he knows that the overlord saw that.
Yeah.
So he just sends them back. Now he hopes.
There's also something else that's actually been happening a lot in Zerg versus Terran, and that may be the reason why Sting chose to do it, is that the overlord paths have changed compared to Wings of Liberty. Overlord paths now go all the way to the 3rd base of the Zerg player to check for Proxy Reaper. They then go to the 4th base as well, and then towards the natural. And in this case, it wasn't that, which is probably the reason why he was like, all right, well, it didn't work. I think this was more of a mind thing that Korean Zergs do often, and that's resulting to this overlord change.
All right, very good point here. We have a couple Zerglings are going to be checking on how many Marines there is. As there is more Marines than Zerglings, Snute is going to have to pull back. He's going to go into heavy droning mode behind this, but he's actually made a spine crawler in his main. He was really afraid of a 2 barracks aggression here, and this is because of the move of those SCVs that he saw. Oh, he's trying to get the overload, but he's not going to find it.
Yeah, he's not going to find it. He's moved to the right-hand side, and he immediately puts the barracks back down. But this amount of Marines, it's still pretty scary here. He's going to have to be quite careful, especially now that he's lost a couple of Lings out in the open. He will have to continue. Well, actually, how many Queens is he at this current point? Currently sitting at 2 Queens, so he should be fine. 2 Queens in the spine is fine against quite a high amount of Marines here. So behind this, Snute continues to drone.
And I like how Sting just made those Zerglings go away from that watchtower and then left just 1 Marine there. If those Zerglings come back, he can send his Marines to clean them up. He has enough Marines to take on a huge amount of Zerglings. Against speed, it might be another story, but I don't think he's expecting speed right now. And with his 2nd command center on the way, he's just making SCVs very continuously. Right now, he's up to 22 against the 26 drones of his opponent. He's going for the complete wall-off with a 3rd barracks, and he's going to send all of those Marines not to try to kill his opponent, but just to punish any kind of greed. If Snute is too greedy, he will not have enough to defend against this. And if he makes units, he will have enough to defend against this, but then he will be behind economically.
He hasn't seen these Marines at all. He can actually lose both spines, Queens, and drones here if he's not careful. But the thing is, Sting doesn't know where the...
he moves
at the wrong time. Oh, that's a bit dangerous there. And the Lings are on the other side of the map. They're coming back eventually here, or if they're going to go for a counter. But this is disastrous, and just a completely lost vision of where the Marines are.
And Sting with the very smart choice here. He's going to head into the main. He's going to try to get as many drones and the Queen maybe. And those Lings are coming back. But I mean, they don't have speed. They're going to take forever to get back in there. So unfortunate for Snute not spotting those Marines.
You can see on camera right now, he's just kind of like, you know, this sucks. As simple as that is. I didn't see the Marines come in. This is rather unfortunate. My spines were lifted at the wrong time. I'm going to lose a lot here. Behind this Sting has combat shields on the way. He has his command set down. Look at the micro. He's hardly losing any Marines here. Bringing down all these Lings. And this actually could be game here. As these Lings fall, 3 remain. 37 drones. Snute is in trouble. And we talked about it here, Todd. Whoever loses this series is pretty much going home.
Yeah, and Snute, he invested very heavily into those spines, and in the end, Sting just walked by, and with no speed on the way, I think Sting is just going to take it here. He's killing a lot of drones. He's already killed as high as 12. He's going to get a few more. Nice positioning on those Marines in the corner and not letting all of the drones attack. I think one Marine is left alive. The final drone is going to take it down, but at the end of this attack, actually, Snute is up to 32 drones against the 32 of Sting, so he's going to stabilize for now, but keep in mind, there are the mules going down for Sting. He's going pretty high on income right now. He has combat shield almost finished. He's going to start Steam Pack very shortly after that, and he's going up to 4 barracks, starting an eBay, no factory in sight. And Snute is going to send an overlord.
Yeah, I mean, he sends in an overlord.
You're so poor already.
He's in trouble. It's he actually loses, doesn't quite, one shot away, GG. And he just doesn't even want to continue to play this game. Combat shields is about to be done. There's so many Marines out already, and he was just too crippled in the early stages there, and Sting takes up a nice and easy victory there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect out of these 2 barracks, but Sting, he faked a heavy aggression, and then from there it went his way, but it was really that Marine run by that made a huge difference in my opinion.
It was all taking that Zelnoga town, man. He took it with 1 Marine and just was blindsided. So I suppose we should head over to the analysis desk. And QXC, what a great Terran game that was. Share your knowledge.
All right, guys. Well, a Sting, unsurprisingly, given what we saw previously in Singapore, went for a 2 racks opening up there against Snute, and the Marines successfully taking Snute out and letting Sting get 1 game up. QXC, what happened there?
So we're going to jump actually right into the replay here, because I want to talk a little bit about... So in that last sequence of Zoc versus Violet, we did talk a bit about map control. We talked about how important that is to knowing what's going on so that you can make, so you can make better strategic decisions. And so what I want to point out here is Sting he's keeping his Marines kind of active outside of his natural, making sure that there's no Lings there. Then he lifts his barracks to check for the Overlord here. Once he sees that there's no Overlord, he knows that Snute doesn't have a good read on how many Marines he has. So now he takes a small group of Marines and uses that to take this Ling force out and basically back it away. 5 Marines is kind of the tipping point where your Marines become much more effective for their cost. 4 or 5 is a good number to use. And so now he can take the Watchtower and back up with the rest of his Marines. And at this point, he's got a much better idea of what's coming at him. Then we fast forward just a little bit here. He continues to build Marines. He's expanding. He's transitioning. Meanwhile, Snute is moving his Lings on the map. He controls the other Watchtower, and this is a pretty standard thing to do, but does not expect the move out. And this is really the key moment, is because Sting checked for this Overlord, because Sting takes this Watchtower and doesn't show exactly how many Marines he has, he puts Snute in a position where he has to be very active to know what's coming to hit him, what's possible. And Snute it's just not active enough to see it coming and gets caught off guard.
Do you think it's a mistake by Snute not putting the Overlord there? I know if you can lift the racks, you can focus it down, but it takes a long time and it's a bit risky. And at least you get some more information.
I think maybe Snute repositioned his Overlord because you can check. If the Marines are sitting at that area, it's very hard to check for the expansion. Because if your Overlord moves out just a little bit, you can kind of kill it when you have 8 or 10 Marines. So maybe he was keeping it behind the expansion to check for that more easily. I'm not exactly sure. It's a pretty unusual place to put your Overlord.
Well, we saw there, obviously, because the Marines weren't seen moving out, the Spine Crawlers getting caught off guard. They weren't borrowed by the time the Marines got there. But Sting was thinking a little bit about the longer game as well. Back at home, he had taken his first gas just as he was pushing out. So let's assume that the Spine Crawlers were down. There were a couple of Queens and some Lings, and for whatever reason, Sting was pushed back. Maybe he lost 1 or 2 Marines, but he kept the majority. What was the follow-up? What was he thinking there?
Basically what Sting's intention there, I think, was to deny a third and get some more information. And it could have been a little risky if Snute had committed to earlier gas and earlier speed. Then it would have been he could have moved across the map, and it would have been difficult, because if he gets surrounded, he loses all his Marines, he loses map control, he goes into a bad position.
Yeah, but I feel like Sting would have just backed up if he wouldn't have been seen a little gap where they could have moved in, right? He was like, okay, there's a spine crawler, there are some queens, I'm just gonna go back to my base.
Sure, but if it's the kind of thing where if Snute predicts that he's going to move out with 10 or 12 Marines, and when Sting gets halfway across the map, 30 speedlings meet him, then you're in a really bad spot. But that's kind of anticipating blind countering type of stuff, and Sting did a good job of protecting his unit count, his information, and the thing with the spine crawlers was really just bad luck. Snute definitely had it in his head that type of Marine pressure was possible. That's why he built the spine crawlers in the first place, so that he wouldn't have to deal with it, and then just repositioning them at basically the exact wrong time.
All right, so are we going to see another 2 racks come out of Sting in Game 2? Is Snute going to be able to hold it off? We'll find out in just a bit. Back to our commentators.
And as you can see on screen right now, Snute kind of a little bit distraught there. Feeling the heat, 0-2 in games, currently losing this series against Sting. And if you have any thoughts on this matchup and on further matchups that we'll be broadcasting, do make sure to go over to Twitter, #IEM, and let us know, as we're about to load into the next game here. Sting versus Snute in the Heart of the Swarm beta tournament, the first tournament for Heart of the Swarm, as the game does get released next week. The launch event is next week as well. The game, if you didn't know, is released on the 12th of March, and here we go.
And our map is going to be Daybreak, and Sting is going to be starting in the top right-hand corner of this map, playing as the blue Terran. His opponent starting in the bottom left corner, playing for Team Liquid. He's been losing a lot today. He has to make something happen here. If he wants to have a chance to make it through to the next round, we have Snute. And you know, Sting, I talked about how he likes to play, I think, open with a gas. He did not do that in the first game, but I feel like he's one of those versatile Terrans who like to mix it up a lot. And now, even though it's just a best of 3, we might see him, I think we will see him do something completely different than he did in the first game.
Do you think it may be a little bit frustrating if we look at Snute's career, for example, in the last year or so, he's put in a lot of hard work to become a decent player, and he is, or should I say was, especially in Wings of Liberty towards the end, to then all of it almost get refreshed in a new game, to come to a new tournament after all that hard work, to get to where he was, to be able to win a tournament like Home Story Cup 6. Is that something that could be playing on his mind here, going 0-2 so early in this tournament?
Yeah, I think he definitely played a role, the fact that he probably played less Heart of the Swarm than some of the players here, but I mean, it was his own choice. He could have played Heart of the Swarm. There was the beta. He chose to play Wings of Liberty to play a couple tournaments that were still happening for him, and I'm sure he probably did well in those. But now we're on Heart of the Swarm. The players have been warned that they had to practice for this tournament on Heart of the Swarm, and yeah, I think he's trying to make the most of the situation. It hasn't worked out so far, but his games weren't really one-sided. He always had a chance, especially the first series I casted of him. I thought he played really well in the early game, like almost like the best early game out of all the Zerg players we've seen, except maybe Violet. But it's really from the mid-game that Snute seems to have trouble. So in the previous game, we saw a very aggressive attack by Sting, which unfortunately Snute was not able to see, but it doesn't count as a real standard game. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And looking at Snute's build, a little bit different to most Zerg builds, of course, going spawn and pull first into hatchery, and without building any early lings either. It's now starting 2, but this allows him to get a single queen out by the time the initial Reaper comes out, a build that is very common in Heart of the Swarm Terran players.
And you talked about this earlier. You know this build very well with Reapers?
Yeah, Sting definitely uses this a lot, going up to 3 to 4 Reapers straight away, following up with regular play, whether it be a third command center, whether it be a factory, really depending on how he wants to play this out. But he's only gone up to 1 this term around, having that queen out already. Daybreak is much more of a filtered map too. If you look at the natural 2 queens, a spine can easily hold and prevent any sort of harassment coming in. Oh, well, actually, excuse me, 2 Reapers in total here. But the switch over to the factory and Reaper, to the factory and reactor is on the way, as well as a second gas. We should be going up to starport momentarily here.
And Sting is going to do a very good job here of being able to spot I mean, prevent the queens from staying next to the hatcheries. He might be able to maybe deny the creep tumor. No, it looks like it will finish. In the meantime, he's going for a factory and reactor. I think he's just going to want to make Hellions and go into a standard TVZ like we will see in Wings of Liberty, except he just opened with those 2 Reapers to try to weaken the economy of his opponent. Force some Spine Crawler, maybe force an extra queen, which he did. He forced an extra queen early on here, but Snute did not overcommit. He did not make a lot of links, which would have been pretty much useless without speed against this. And he's actually going up to 4 queens right now. He's going to take his first 2 extractors in his main. In the meantime, we have the first 2 Hellions on the way and a starport. There is a tech lab on the barracks, so I told you, man, he likes his Banshees.
He does like his Banshees indeed, and to be honest, I think Snute's probably quite happy with the way this has opened up. He's probably practiced this quite a lot against Reaper openings here, deflected the Reapers, but in terms of trade-off and resources and gained and not gained, Sting's probably kind of happy himself too. He got a lot of scouting done, he forced the Spine Crawler down, extra queens down, is containing the creep spread for now with these initial 2 Reapers, meanwhile just playing his usual build, getting his Hellions out, getting his Banshees out, or actually not a Banshee initially, it's going straight for a Medivac here, so behind this he's actually going to look to drop these Hellions.
Yeah, because he's gone for those Hellions, I think it's pretty smart to get a Medivac first. He's going to follow this up with a Banshee. He's already started Cloak, and I mean, Cloaking will finish about the same time as the first Banshee is about to get into the main of Snute, I think, and then this might do a lot of damage. I mean, Sting from the first minute, he's putting pressure with the Reapers. He follows this up with a Hellion drop, and then Banshee comes in. Snute is going to have to be ready for everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if Snute sends an Overlord inside of the base of Sting very soon. And Sting, he hasn't made a single Marine to deny that.
This is going to be brutal. Snute right now is focusing on one direction, which is his natural defense. He's not thinking about a drop coming in. He has no units. He has queens alone. And as this Medivac comes in, he'll obviously want to produce units, but it's going to be too late. These Hinds are going to get in, and I'm watching Snute's face as soon as he sees this, which he does. He's losing drones. He's going to lose a lot here, and things are not working out for Snute here today. He's losing games. He's dropping drones. 8 links are on the way, but before they even get out, he's lost a lot of drones here. Behind this, Banshee follow-up is on its way. There's no spores.
And Sting actually tried to run by 2 Hellions in the natural. Those did die, not doing any damage there. But overall, we've had 17 drones roasted by those Hellions, bringing Snute to 42 drones against the 35 SCVs of his opponent. Still decent, but I mean, the Banshee is going to fly in there very soon. And he already has the Evos. He will not need them to make a Spore, but if he does not start the Spore on time, and he starts it as this Banshee starts attacking, this is going to be really hard for him to defend against this Banshee and not lose too many drones more.
Here we go, the Banshee, the cloak is activated, another blow to Snute here, and the drones just keep on falling, and this is, as mentioned, just not working very well for him. 21 drones have already gone down. Behind this, if a counterattack happens, there's Widow Mines to defend against it, more factories, all gases have been taken. Snute is supply blocked here at 60 supply, and he's just crumbling. He's not performing to the same standard we're used to seeing. 2 Overlords do begin, stuck at 60 supply.
And another Hellion drop in the main is going to be used by Sting. 4 Hellions are in there. The drones being pulled immediately. It does not look like he's going to be able to kill any drones in the main, so he flies into the expansion. I like, by the way, that Snute went for an Overseer instead of a Spore, since he already had 4 queens. The Hellions being dropped in the natural are going to be picked up again and evacuated for now.
My Raven is being produced here, as well as the factory switching over to start production. No armories have gone down yet, but we should be seeing double armory very shortly here, as he's focused on getting units out before upgrading here, having such a great advantage. There's no need to be too greedy. And here comes another Hellion drop to the natural. More drones shall fall here, and I don't even want to look at the workers killed tab. It must be over 25, 30 drones killed at this point is humongous. And Snute is crumbling. As simple as that sounds, that's what's happening here. He does finally pick off the Medivac with the 2 Hellions in it. But behind this, 3rd command center is on the way. Armory for upgrades.
And I like how Sting is playing it safe. Behind this, he's made a couple mines, a couple Hellions. He has to be careful for the friendly fire, and he's going to pull back those Hellions. He has 1 tank already. He's going to have siege immediately, and he does not choose to siege it for now. Okay, he's finally going to pull back. I would expect him to siege now, but he wants to be attacking at all times. Those roaches are trying to go up, and those mines are almost going to be ready for another explosion. And Snute is just going to pull back for now. He knows he does not have enough to break this wall of Sting. He's going for more Banshee. Behind this, he's going to follow this up with a Viking. He's going for a Force Factory. He already has started vehicle weapons, which is going to be very important later on.
as Snute starts ventral stacks. He starts overlord speed. He's going for it here.
I don't feel much motivation in your voice, Apollo.
It's probably the play from Snute at the moment. He just is, everything he tries is not working, and what we're going to see next is an attempt with it's just as he's seen the third command center. He knows that Sting's about to take that third. The one option without any longevity really in Snoot's play, if he attempts this, which it seems to be, is just dropping all his roaches on top of the mech army in hope that he can break it down, avoiding siege mode from the tanks. And very shortly we're going to see the roach production really begin.
And another Banshee is going to enter the third base of Snute. He's going to use Cloak immediately. The Queen already falling pretty much immediately. Snute is going to have to send an extra Queen to defend against this, but he's losing so many drones right now. I mean, this Banshee got 9 kills, one of those is a Queen, so still lots of drone kills. Ventral Sax is about to complete, he's getting a lot of roaches right now. This roach drop style does very well against mech, but I mean, right now, the army supply 80 to 52, and Sting is going to have 1-0 attack upgrade, so...
I really can't see this working, unfortunately, here, if he attempts this, which I'm sure he's going to. I mean, if he drops his entire army on the army of Sting, and what we can see unraveling here, that it won't work, then the game could necessarily just end there and then. If he starts to drop around the map, drop in the main, drop in the third, and play more of a harassment style than a full-out fight, then maybe different circumstances can happen. But there's so many tanks. There's a Raven in there as well that doesn't need to research Hunter-Seeker missile. It's there, it's a given. And then there's Hellbats mixed in as well. +1 is about to complete here for Sting, who has a fierce army that may not be able to be dealt with.
Yeah, he mixed very well. He got a couple Hellions, a couple Hellbats, few tanks, one Thor, one Raven is basically making every single unit that he can right now. Snute is going to evacuate his force base and let it die. He's going to have to defend his third if he wants to have a chance in this game. So you can expect a fight very soon if Sting chooses to press on and attack the third base of Snute.
Behind this, a fourth command turret's on the way. 163 supply for Sting, and the loser of this series is pretty much going home. 0 wins, 3 losses isn't going to cut it here at the World Championship of the Intel Stream Masters. The Raven is locked, ready to go. It's probably going to put its Hunter-Seeker missile down. No, it's going to be turrets here to fortify this location. Here comes Snute with one attempt. The units are going to spread. They return back as well. Snute tries to unload, and unfortunately we're not even seeing the units drop down because they're dying before they even hit the ground here.
And Sting knows he has enough, and he did not choose to siege here, which I think was very smart, because those roaches would have been dropped inside of those tanks. So now that he's killed a lot of the army that was dropped on top of him, he's going to siege. He sees that the drop might come back. He's going to unsiege almost immediately. He's going to pull back now for a bit, but I mean, Snute has already lost way too much. All of those drones are getting fried right now. Those roaches are going to die as well. GG, and Sting takes the 2-0 victory. Snute is pretty much out of this Intel Extreme Masters.
Is pretty much out here, Todd, but Sting keeps his hopes alive here. He now goes 1 win and 2 losses. He still has a couple of games remaining, 2 games remaining. Can he win the next 2 to maybe come back? Maybe get 3 wins to 2 losses and scrape through a 2nd and 3rd place. But unfortunately for Snute, his tournament seems to be at a close here, seems to be at an end. A little bit unfortunate there for Team Liquid and of course Snute. But I suppose it's time to head over to those guys, Todd.
Yeah, and QXC finally got a Terran game to talk to us about. Show us some passion, man.
Exactly, guys. We have a Terran game to talk to you about, and it wasn't a 2-racks from Sting, contrary to... actually, I was predicting that, to be fair, because we saw quite a lot of that in Singapore. But he played a really, really nice game there, and we're going to be talking a little bit about just how well he was able to control the center of the map moving forward. Harstem, you had something to say about that.
Yeah, I think it was really nice the moment the medevac was about to fly in, or about to fly in the vision of the watchtower. Sting took the watchtower, so there was no way for Snute to actually see the medevac. Even if there were a few units there, it would have taken a while to kill the unit that Sting sent over there. And yeah, just amazing play by Sting.
Yep. I want to go into the replay right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about basically what set up that attack and what made it so effective. Okay, well, we'll go into the replay in a moment.
Yeah, let's hop into the replay first. Let's check this out.
No, you said just wait.
No?
Just wait.
Oh, well, we're
just
hanging
wait.
on.
Relax.
All right. In that case...
But,
oh, cool.
The Hellion drop... Okay, so start with the beginning. The Reapers. Reaper opening against Zerg is very effective because it gives you a lot of information, and it also gives you the ability to deny your opponent information. Basically, once you open Reaper, they cannot scout with Lings very easily, so they're left with just Overlords, and they're not able to spread creep very easily. They have to play a little more defensive, and you can constantly be checking in with the Reaper. One of the things that's really cool, and is that ability to check in. And basically in this game we saw Sting poking in with the Reaper multiple times, and at one point he sees 2 queens in the natural and a spine crawler. That is a significant enough mineral investment that you pretty much know your opponent is just playing macro defensive style.
Yep.
And so he doesn't have to worry too much about that. So let's go into the replay now.
Well, hang on, just before we go into the replay, sorry, we've got Rachel on stage for an interview, guys. So let's hop over there and see if we can get a few words from Sting.
Thanks so much, guys. Sorry to interrupt your analysis. This will be quick. I just wanted to ask you, Sting, how confident were you that your group of Marines in Game 1 was going to win the game for you? Were you preparing to make that a long game, or did you think you would win right there?
첫 번째 게임에서 이제 마린 푸시로 이겼잖아요. 처음부터 그거를 이제 생각하고 그걸로 게임을 끝낼 생각을 하고 했는지, 아니면 이제 후반전도 생각을 하고 있었는데 그걸로 어떻게 해서 끝나게 된 건지.
그냥 후반전도 생각하면서 그냥 찔러봤는데 그냥 가시촉수 2개가 들려져 있는 걸 보고 그냥 계속 여기서 게임 끝났구나 하고 다음 게임 이미 생각하고 있었어요.
Actually, he prepared for a very late game, but when he saw the chance to attack when the spines were uprooted, so he took the chance and thought he won the game.
How comfortable are you with Heart of the Swarm Terran compared to Wings of Liberty Terran?
이제 군심 테란이랑 자유날개 테란이랑 둘 다 하는데 자유날개 테란이랑 무슨 차이점이 있는지 하고 마음에 드는지.
마음에 드는지요? 근데 자유의 날개 테란보다 군단의 신장 테란이 더 좋은 것 같아요. 그래서 마음에 좀 많이 들어요.
He says that he really likes the new Terran in Heart of the Swarm, and it's really, really good compared to Wings of Liberty.
Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying your race that much more. We're going to throw it back to the analysts and see how you play Game 2, but thank you so much.
All right, guys, we're going to hop into a part of the early game in this replay, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the examples of how Sting was able to manipulate his map control. So let's hop in right here. QXC, guide us through what's going on.
So if we take a look at the replay here, I'm just going to go to Snute's vision real quick. Notice all the darkness around basically all the important stuff. Snute doesn't know what his second gas timing is. He doesn't know if there's an expansion. He doesn't really know very much of anything. Obviously right now Sting isn't seeing too much of anything, but his units are more aggressively placed than Snute's. He can see basically up to the ramp. He was poking in with these Reapers. He saw the Queens and the Spine Crawler, and that gives him a lot of information like I was saying earlier. Meanwhile, Snute doesn't really know what the follow-up here is. Sting does a good job of hiding the 4 Hellions, not revealing anything. Off of these 2 Reapers, Sting could be doing almost any build. He could be expanding, he could be going 3 command center, he could be doing a 1 base. And so Snute is completely in the dark. There's just too many things for him to consider to be able to adequately prepare for all of them. And one thing that would have helped a lot here, and I'm going to kind of just fast forward so we can get to the Hellion drop and I can show that a little bit. But one thing that would have helped Snute a lot here is to be a little bit more aware of the timings. The timings that kind of happen after the Reaper pressure. And so we do see the Overlord is here, but the Overlord really needed to go into the main at some point much earlier. Especially when you see a Reaper opening, you know your Terran opponent is not going to have a whole lot of anti-air, and so it's usually pretty easy to scout the vast majority of his base. You can see here he reveals the 2 Hellions and the Reaper, and at the same time he boosts the medevac in with these 4 Hellions. The first time that Snute sees this medevac coming is basically right here, and it's just not enough time to react. He doesn't have speed, he doesn't have roaches, and he doesn't have the time to build a large number of units. You can defend this with 3 or 4 Queens in the proper position with Lings, even slow Lings, to kind of clump against the Hellions and make it so they can't roam freely. But caught unawares, there's really no way to defend this at this point.
That's excellent analysis there, QXC, and I think a really good demonstration there of why that map awareness just allows Sting to be that much more flexible and really forces his opponents into a corner.
Yeah.
So we've got we actually haven't had that many mirror matchups here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship so far, but we have Snute going up against Violet next. Violet, of course, on a run of form here in the tournament so far, and Snute looking to pick himself up. We'll see if he can do so, guys. Follow IEM and give us a tweet. Don't forget to use the hashtag as well. Let us know what you think about the stuff that's going on here, and we'll be back after this break with that CBZ.